Will come to order. Read the open meeting law disclosure. Pursuant to the open meeting law, any person may make an audio or video recording of this public meeting or may transit the meeting through any medium. Attendees are therefore advised that such recordings or transmissions are being made, whether perceived or unperceived by those present, and are deemed acknowledged and permissible. I'll call a roll, please.
Councilor Joseph Camara. Councilor Viveras.
Here.
Chairman Kilby.
Here. Just received a call this afternoon. Joe's Camara's tied up at work. He may be arriving shortly. First item, citizens' input. Is there anyone that'd like to come down and speak? Hearing none. Move on to item 2. We have the minutes of the February 19th meeting. I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to adopt.
Motion to adopt. I'll second. All in favor?
Aye. So
voted. We have one item on the agenda, number 3. It's a resolution that was submitted by Councilor Stephen Camara, and I'll read the resolution. Discuss safety concerns on Old 2nd Street with the police chief, city planner, director of traffic, executive director of the redevelopment authority, the management of the academy building, and with representatives of the city administration, was adopted on June 20th, 2019. As a result of Councilor Stephen Camara getting calls, myself among others, it's our understanding that we've been getting a lot of complaints with regard to that area, especially at night with various loitering and individuals causing nuisance problems. So the elderly have complaints. So we're here just to see if we can come up with some quick solutions for the residents of that building. And so we're Councilor Viveras and myself are looking forward to any suggestions you can give us today. So I'll begin with.
Yeah, I'm going to go around and introduce.
Oh yes, please.
So Chris Gallagher, Director of Facilities.
Bill Roth, City Planner.
Brian Gallagher with the Academy Building, Corcoran Management Company.
Laura Ferrara, Traffic and Parking.
Al Dupere, Police Chief.
Kathy Viveras, City Administrator.
Okay. Would you like to begin, Ms. Viveras?
Sure. Thank you. Just to give the committee an overview, because there were some other people that were invited. So back in January, when the parking garage was transferred from the Redevelopment Authority over to the City of Fall River, Old 2nd Street transferred along with it. So okay. I think the chairman or the clerk had invited people from the Redevelopment Authority. They don't really have any role to play in this at this point. So just want to make you aware that they're not here because they really have no continuing interest. However, Mr. Roth, as city planner, was actually facilitating the closeout of those improvements that are over in that area. So he's here to speak on that point. I would turn it over to Mr. Gallagher. We are aware that we needed to do some upgrades, not just at Old 2nd Street, but even in the parking garage. And so Mr. Gallagher, as Director of Facilities, has actually been looking at that, and he has a proposal to suggest to the committee, and we appreciate having Academy Building here. We're hoping we're going to be partners in that, so that's good. So, Mr. Gallagher.
So, in talking with Mr. Roth and Mr. Gallagher, we were discussing what we would like to do. Since the RDA, they had re-landscaped all of that. There's now irrigation, there's electric, there's foundations from the decorative vine pieces that they've put up. We feel that if we start to put any lighting on that side of the property, that it's going to start to shine in onto the building. There'd be complaints from the tenants that it's shining in. So what we just did with Mr. Gallagher is we just showed him that we could actually run some nice wall LED packs that could run right along the area on the Academy building itself that would light up that 2nd Street. There's some areas at the very top where the building ends. We would then do some spotlight on a decorative pole that's up there, and then the parking deck that we have would take care of the rest of the lighting for that street. We did some preliminary cost analysis and stuff. There were about $2,500 to $3,000 between material and a little bit of labor between our own staff and what we could do. Mr. Gallagher, when I spoke with him, he just would want some sort of proposal of exactly what we were going to do, what we were going to use, because his company would like to see what we're going to do on their building. So I don't know if, Mr. Gallagher, you have anything more to tell to them?
No, I mean, we're in it for the public safety. We want that place to be as safe and well lit as we can. So I can bring it to the ownership. I'm sure it'll be well received. We just want to make sure that we, are informed about what's going to go on at the building. And,
Of course.
And then if it's going to tie into our electric, then, we just want to know what it is, so we'll be able to
It would.
see what it's going to cost. Right. So,
Yeah, it would.
yeah, I mean, we're here to help work this out as well. So hopefully this will do it, but I can't, I have to go back to my ownership with some sort of proposal.
Okay.
But I don't
Well,
think-
lighting is a big piece, and a lot of the calls that we were receiving have requested lighting. It is a very popular area, but they have the market there, and it is quite a nice pedestrian walkway and a pedestrian street, so I think it would really beautify the area.
So what I was proposing, as I was telling Mr. Gallagher, is that we would pay not only to buy, but also to install, and then we would maintain as part of that old Second Street, as us maintaining that. We'll plow that now, things of that nature, so any of the lights go out or anything, that would be, we would maintaining under us. So they're just basically allowing us to facilitate, putting it on their building, using their electric. I think it's a minimal cost with LED lighting now. So then I think it's just going to be a good partnership between the city and the Academy building.
I guess the next prong of this would be the police chief. Do you have any ideas or any strategy in terms of increasing patrols or overtime or?
Well, we started, we have a walking beat program that runs throughout the summer from about May through September. And so we've had officers in that area on a rotating basis. And there's been no real activity that they've seen. So I pulled the calls for Old Second Street, and since January 1st, we've only had 10 calls there, excluding the medical calls. There's a vast amount of medical calls there because of the nature of the residents in the building. And then we have one gentleman that has some kind of alcohol issue. We've been there half a dozen times. But other than that, we had 10 other calls, car accident, 2 fire alarms, 1 accidental call, and 5 welfare checks. So what that tells me is not that there's nothing going on, but that people aren't calling us. So I think the best thing they can do is call when they see suspicious people, suspicious activity, so that we can get an idea of when and where it's occurring. And then obviously the lighting would be a big factor. But other than that, it's an open area. You can see it from the surrounding streets. It's not really that secluded, so the lighting would help to see, overcome the dark. But other than that, I wouldn't have any other suggestions. We'll continue the walking beats and continue the increased patrols. But if we could have that information so we know when to target, that would be helpful.
How about camera technology? Is that?
It'll be part of the
fiscally
area
feasible?
that will be included in the cameras as the process goes on. We're at the stage now where they're meeting next week to do site visits for the initial main backbone of the system, and then the cameras will run off of that. So we're still a little ways away from that, but certainly it would be an area that would be covered. All around the downtown area would be covered.
Okay. I'm sorry, Mr. Gallagher, what's the timeline on the lighting? Because I'm assuming we're going to table this for a
I'm going to
relatively
get with
short
Mr.
period of
Gallagher
time.
after this meeting. We'll exchange emails. I'll get him right away. I'll get him the proposals of the type of products and things that I'm going to use. We'll get a general idea where we're going to put them. Maybe I can meet with him afterwards, showing them exactly where they're going to go, and then just get their approval. Once they do that, we could start the process.
Okay.
So I say within a couple of weeks, we could actually start the process,
Okay,
getting it going.
Ms. Ferrer?
Yes, I mean, some of those complaints might be also coming, because I get a lot of calls with the Third Street Garage when winter comes, how lighted it's going to be. And I've been working with Mr. Gallagher in hoping, changing light bulbs inside, adding more lighting to the outside, especially to the Old Second area, where the back of the garage is on Old Second Street. There's also a couple of stairs, and there's quite a few people from the Academy building who do rent spaces at the Third Street Garage, and their concern is when they walk across that it can be dark. So hopefully, once we light up the garage as well on the outside, that it'll help that upper part of Old Second Street where they walk back and forth to get inside the garage. I know with cameras, I know Mr. Gallagher is trying really hard to see if we can get that as inside the garages as well, so that it can view the outside and the inside area as well.
So we'll take care of that upper area.
Yeah, excellent. Okay, Ms. Viveras, anything to add?
Just that I think once everybody reaches agreement, we may need to reduce something to writing, just making it very clear that what our responsibilities are for your protection, as well as the idea that you're going to be providing the electricity for it. So, but we can do that once the parties have reached agreement and we know exactly what the requirements are, so we'll take care of that.
Okay. Councilor Viveras, any? Okay, so I'd entertain a motion to table. In 30 days, we'll reconvene on this issue and hopefully alleviate the problems there. I don't think it's rocket science there.
Yeah.
No.
Take a motion to table.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
So voted. Thank you.
Good, thank you.
Motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second. Thank you, everyone.